with us. Big things are happening in entertainment, in front of the camera and beyond. American Idol took a powerful turn with a backstage worship moment that moved front and center. Plus, we've got a first look at King of Kings, the new animated feature from Angel Studios that's already creating major buzz.
And that's not all. Prime Video's House of David is officially a hit, and it's already been renewed for season 2, which I'm so excited to hear. Ephraim Graham has more of the latest in the world of entertainment.
At number 5. Spontaneous worship breaks out behind the scenes of this season's American Idol. And this gospel sound moves from backstage to center stage.
I love you, Lord.
When the show celebrates Easter Sunday with a 3-hour Songs of Faith episode featuring CeCe Winans and Brandon Lake.
I bring my heart with you, hallelujah.
At number 4, a quick look at the Final Four. On the women's side, UConn is back on top, winning its 12th national championship, handily defeating champion South Carolina, 82-59 Sunday. And on the men's side Monday, Florida persevered and rallied for a 65-63 win over Houston, securing the program's 3rd national championship. At number 3,
they must start an epic 6-mile journey.
A Studio 5 first look at NBC's The Americas, an expansive 10-episode nature documentary, taking viewers from the northern edges of Alaska and Canada to the southern tip of Chile and many points in between.
Did any of the expeditions not pan out? Was there some, we don't have anything here, so let's not use it?
I mean, the crab, you know, that extraordinary migration of the red crabs in Cuba. That was a story that we were worried wasn't going to happen.
Actor Tom Hanks narrates the series, airing Sundays on NBC.
Around 10 million crabs are on the march.
At number 2.
Our story begins 2,000 years ago when baby Jesus came into the world.
It's a Studio 5 first look at Angel Studios' animated feature, King of Kings, before it hits more than 3,000 theaters Friday.
It has angels and wicked kings and miracles. Oh, so you want to hear the story now?
The film features a star-powered cast of voices, including Kenneth Branagh as the storyteller Charles Dickens, Uma Thurman as Catherine Dickens, Forrest Whitaker as Peter the Disciple, and more.
There's not nearly enough food here to feed all of these people.
I hope this helps.
The film has generated more than $7 million in pre-sales, and Angel Studios has a special, giving away 1 free children's ticket with the purchase of an adult ticket.
This was a miracle to some, but a threat to others.
Why don't we just turn the people against him?
At number 1.
Can one stone change the course of history?
House of David is an official hit series for the Prime streaming platform, and it's been greenlit for a 2nd season.
How do you balance telling the story that most of us think we know with biblical accuracy, but then telling a compelling story?
We feel like a great responsibility for the source material, and you want to get it right, and you want to honor it. And the way to honor it is to understand the heart of it, and then to fill in those gaps in ways that supports the truth of the heart of that. And then you get a lot of help from people to go like, no, this is great, but this is actually inaccurate.
Why do my brothers get to fight? And I'm stuck here.
David, you are not a man of blood.
All right, well, Ephraim Graham joins us now live in the studio to talk more about all of this in the world of entertainment. But of course, we have to start with House of David. I am a huge fan. I watched all of it, the finale last week. How are they keeping it both biblically accurate and binge-worthy? Because it definitely is binge-worthy.
Indeed. It would not surprise you to know that Dallas Jenkins actually does have a hand in House of David as well. So he is part of the company that is producing that, the Wonder Company. It is their first foray into biblical storytelling for Prime, and it did extremely well. Naturally, they have theologians on set as well, helping them to navigate the script. Even as far as the type of slingshot that David uses, I mean, there are people who are experts on that as well. We know it ends with the fight, and now we get to see more of David's story come next season. But as I said, no surprise, Dallas Jenkins of The Chosen also has a hand in House of David.
Love, love, love. I've been like watching so many different YouTube videos with the actors, you know, talking about the season, and Michael Iskander, who plays David, that's really him slinging a slingshot. And he actually learned from an expert in, you know, warfare in the ancient times, and he was trained, and that's really him doing it, which I thought was so cool.
Really him singing, really him playing the lyre as well. Yes, all him.
I love that. Very cool. Have you watched it, Andrew?
No, I'm waiting for my family to watch it with me.
What are you waiting for?
I'm waiting for them, but it's hard to get everybody together.
Get it together.
It's time to binge.
Gosh, that's quite an assignment. King of Kings, the new animated film, looks superb. Tell us about it.
Has not opened yet. Will open this Friday, but it has already sold $7.8 million worth of tickets and pre-sales. This is something Angel Studios does extremely well. So imagine Charles Dickens and his son, wife along for the journey as well, going on a bit of an imaginative storytelling adventure and essentially following the story of Jesus, told extremely well. You're going to hear some voices you're very familiar with, like Forrest Whitaker, Uma Thurman, Pierce Brosnan, you name it, all a part of this production, and it will be in theaters come Friday, just in time for this season that we're enjoying.
Some big names, big names voicing those characters. That's really cool.
Very much so.
It looks great. Well, NBC is going big with its new nature series, The Americas. What sets this documentary apart from others like it?
Well, I hope I don't bore anyone. I love nature series. I love seeing God's creation up that close. And let me tell you, one of the things that sets this whole series apart is the length they went to get the video that we see. So there is a sperm whale that dives in the water, and guess what? The camera goes with you. So they attach the camera to the sperm whale, allow him to go down. We watch him navigating underwater. And then the length they went through to get that camera back, I mean, they had to get it off and then actually go hunting for the camera. And when they found it, the footage is amazing. And just the lengths, I mean, they had to wait for the perfect weather to get that crab scene done. They needed rain for that great migration that we see, to wait all that stuff out. The technology, it's just amazing. And of course, the voice of Tom Hanks being the narrator, what a great.
I've heard it's actually very, very good, so I'm excited to watch it. I really am. Where can we watch it again?
Sundays at 8 on NBC. Really good. It's 10 parts.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're putting it on broadcast television in prime time. They obviously think it's going to be a huge hit.
Yes.
What a weekend of college basketball. NCAA champions crown. UConn women again dominating in Florida. A couple of great games. Did you watch them, Ephraim, or you just see the highlights?
I watched a lot. I was actually rooting for the women in South Carolina. Unfortunately, they did not win. But what's beautiful about all of them is hearing their stories of faith. It seems faith and sports go hand in hand. To hear players say things like, we were relying on God for strength. Beautiful. Even for those who lost and we were rooting for, to say, you know what, there's still a lesson in this, and God is still Lord of all. Beautiful, beautiful. Coaches included.
Yeah, well, we also, I can't let you go, Ephraim, without talking about American Idol. Almost said American Eagle. American Idol. It has so many faith-filled musical moments. Tell us more about all of that.
That's right. We have one of the contestants who's actually vying to be a preacher. We've got worship leaders. And for 3 hours, Easter Sunday, after you've had your Easter brunch or Easter worship, strap in. We have an all-gospel event, 3 hours. CeCe Winans, Brandon Lake, Jelly Roll. It is going to be an amazing 3 hours of gospel music. All the contestants singing faith-filled music. I know. Roman Collins will be back. there will be some worshiping in Hollywood come 8 o'clock on Sunday, Easter Sunday.
I mean, I saw that video on, social media, and I was just blown away. It's so awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to that 3-hour special as well. That's going to be amazing.
3 hours, yes, indeed.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ephraim, thank you so much for being with us today. And for all the latest in entertainment news, make sure you check out Ephraim's weekly show. It's called Studio 5, and you can watch it on the CBN News channel or online at cbn.com/Studio5, or just scan the QR code on the screen to get the latest in uplifting entertainment on demand.
He says he may not have been the best preacher, but God gave him a powerful vision. And today, John Bolin is the creator of The Thorn, a breathtaking live stage production blending drama, aerial acts, and dance to tell the story of Jesus like never before. With over 1 million people reached and a national tour underway, The Thorn is touching hearts across the country this Easter season. Awesome stuff. John's with us now. Welcome to the show.
Andrew, good to be here.
So before The Thorn, you were in pastoring? Is that what you were doing, like as a vocation?
Well, I was a volunteer pastor at a local church in Colorado Springs, and not a great one, I would say. And,
why do you say that?
Well, I just realized that to get the attention of young people, specifically high school and college students, I needed to do more for me than just teach. And so we would do a lot of, back then we called them illustrated sermons. And that's kind of how The Thorn was born.
So you thought, like, Lord, I need something more. Were you praying, like, help me reach this generation, or what?
Yeah, the way that it really began, Andrew, was it was a Wednesday night, and I was sitting on the edge of the stage, and a 16-year-old girl came and sat next to me. She held out her arms, and I could see where she'd been cutting up and down her arms, and she just burst into tears. And I looked at her, and I said, you don't have to do that because I believe Jesus did that for you 2,000 years ago. So I thought, next week, I want to do a drama to illustrate two things. One, the price that Jesus paid, that no matter how dark or how hard the situation you're going through is, Jesus understands because he's been here. And number two, I wanted to show the reality of what I call the spiritual battle for the calling, destiny, and identity of young people. So the next Wednesday night, we did the first Thorn performance.
Well, hold on. You said I'm going to do a drama. Did you already? You must have already had this going.
Well, I didn't know I was going to do that until I talked to this girl, and then I thought, let's do this drama next Wednesday night as an illustrated sermon. And so the next week it was, I want to show the price that Jesus paid, and I want to show the spiritual battle. And the first Thorn performance was pretty bad. The makeup wasn't great. The music wasn't great. The lighting was pretty non-existent. It was two guys in the corner of the room with little lamps they turned up and down. But the Holy Spirit was there. And a couple hundred high school students had a dramatic encounter with Jesus. And that began the very first Thorn. That was over 25 years ago. We had no idea what would happen over the next 25 years. So then that local church said, hey, would you do this as our Easter production next year? We did it for their Easter production, and then that began a yearly tradition that led sort of through a winding path to where we are today.
I mean, of course you didn't imagine this would happen, but were you skilled particularly in the arts?
No. My background's in business. I moved to Colorado Springs to open an outdoor retail store. And then I went and volunteered for the church, became the accidental youth pastor, and the Thorn came out of that. Now, my parents were creatives. My parents met at the Goodman Theater in Chicago. My mother's a fine artist. My dad is a musician. And so it's kind of in my blood. But I just knew that I wanted to find a creative way to communicate the gospel to a young generation.
Was your wife on board with this from the start?
Well, yeah, we have 5 kids. So at that time, we were in the middle of raising kids and all the things. But she's been part of it from the very beginning. In fact, she's our executive producer. Yeah. She's with our team right now in Pittsburgh tonight for the live show. So we've been in it from the beginning.
For people who haven't seen it, we saw a clip just a few moments ago. But how would you describe it? But what sets it apart from other, let's say, Easter-themed presentations that the Christian churches do?
Well, you might say it's not really your grandma's passion play. It's not a very typical passion play. It features martial arts and aerial acrobatics and modern dance and dramatic arts. It's not a passion play. There's only one speaking part, really, and that's the narrator, which is told by like a 95-year-old John the Beloved on the island of Patmos. And then it has the scenes of the story of the Gospels from the book of Genesis through the book of Acts. And John kind of tells those stories. So visually, it's done in a way that you probably have never seen in any kind of passion experience.
It must, I mean, you're very enthusiastic, passionate, obviously, but you must reflect with just great beauty upon what God has done in the lives of people here, and maybe even in yourself, in your own heart.
Yeah, Andrew, over the past 25 years, it's been a journey, for sure. You know, the Thorn itself is like a roller coaster of emotions as people watch the production. That you're laughing, you're weeping, you're in awe. And for us, over the past 25 years, it's been the same thing. It wasn't always like this. Like for 25 years, it was a growing production, and then COVID hit, and the Thorn was dark. You know, so during COVID, my wife and I, we sat on the couch. I remember this, thinking maybe this season is over for us. And because nothing live was happening. Broadway was dark, theaters were dark. Remember, sporting events had cardboard cutouts because nobody could get together. So we thought maybe the season is over for the Thorn. And then something happened to us. I remember seeing that Dallas Jenkins had produced The Chosen in movie theaters during the Christmas season. So then I wondered if maybe we could film The Thorn and put it in movie theaters. So we partnered with Fathom in the spring of 2023. And we had The Thorn, we recorded it, so we had a recorded version of the production that we put in movie theaters during March of 23. And then that same year we thought, let's do one final live theatrical run. So we called a bunch of our megachurch pastor friends and said, hey, would you produce The Thorn one more time with us? And they all said maybe, then they all said no, for good reasons. I think it was God reasons, actually. And so my wife and I decided, what if we took the risk and we booked secular performing arts centers across the country and brought The Thorn to the middle of the public square. And Andrew, that's been the biggest surprise and has made all the difference.
So the secular, let's say, was receptive to it?
Not only receptive, like it's been more than we could have ever asked, thought, dreamed, or imagined.
Why do you think they receive it so well with such enthusiasm?
Well, for one thing, I think being in the public square, we have Protestants and Catholics, Baptists, Charismatics. We've got all ethnicities. We have people that are seekers that come to the Thorn because they've got a box seat for the theater season and they're hearing the gospel for the first time. And the production itself is told, I think, with excellence. And so it's one of the few faith-based live theatrical productions happening in the public square, told at a high level. And I think more than anything, Andrew, God wants his story told. Yes. You had a feature just a bit ago about King of Kings and what God is doing with The Chosen and with House of David and with what Mel Gibson is doing next year, all those things. We're just kind of drafting behind all of what I think God is doing across the world and making his name known.
Awesome. John, thanks for being with us.
Thanks,
I want to make sure people know how to check this out. So you can catch The Thorn live on its national tour. Check out tour dates and tickets at thethorn.com. And don't miss the film version. The Thorn premieres on Palm Sunday, April 13 at 7 p.m. Eastern on UP-TV and begins streaming April 4th on UP Faith and Family. And many of us are very excited to see it. Ashley, over to you.
Well, she's one of the most beloved voices in Christian comedy, and her stage is more than just a place for laughter. Chana Pierce has used her platform to share the gospel through humor, even in the middle of heartbreak and heartache. But from grief to grace, her story proves that God can use the stage to bring healing, hope, and a whole lot of laughter.
For this, and it took 3 fairy godmothers to zip this dress.
Life is funny until it's not. A comic story of love, loss, and lunacy. Where's the lunacy?
Right now, today. That's exactly right. You know, I think the lunacy has been there 24/7 always, but the loss and the laughter comes and goes. You know, but it is. It's very much just life.
And people say weird stuff to you when they find out that you've lost your husband. And when you're a widow, they'll go like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear you lost your husband, which I think sounds very irresponsible.
You've shared your struggles of love, loss previously, but we learned a lot of new things. I'll talk specifically about family secrets in that chapter where you're sharing abuse that you didn't think you suffered.
For me, I remember, when you open the wound, this sounds like a gross thing, but when you open a wound to disinfect it, to clean the wound, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's painful. There's things you find out about yourself that I go, oh, that's why I react like I do. That's why I don't trust people very well. That's why it took me so long to trust a loving God, is because my view of fatherhood was so distorted, and that's why I think counseling is so imperative.
What was the process like for you writing this book and being so raw and real?
It was hard. Now, I've worked on this for a while. I think there are times when you tell all, there needs to be an appropriateness to it. And that is, a lot of those people have passed now. This book would grieve my mother. She would see in it going, oh, I should have got out of that marriage sooner. I know my mother, because I'm so much like her. I should have done this, I should have done that, I had a wonderful counselor tell me one time, stop shooting on yourself. And I just cracked up at that, It's true. You can't go back, you can't regret, you can't because that's a fueling ground for the devil,
Indeed.
It was not time to write that while she was living. I didn't write it, until my father had passed.
Yeah.
Because it's just not time. Yeah.
One of the things you say, and I wrote this down so I got it right, is tragedy plus time equals comedy. Comedy plus time equals relief.
Right.
What do you mean?
Comedy is a great tool. It also could be a very divisive. It can also be a great deflection. I have used comedy sometimes to deflect pain. I used to tell a story about little old ladies at church, and one of them said I wasn't very P-R-E-T-T-Y, and I turned around and said, no, but I'm real S-M-A-R-T. And I remember telling that in a way, just hoping those little old ladies see that on TV sometimes.
Yeah. That's a little skinny, knobby-headed kid with white hair. I skipped over to my mother real quick and said, those two ladies said I'm not very pretty. Do you think I'm pretty, Mama?
When you add time to your comedy, it becomes a great, beautiful release and a relief, rather than used in a tough way. Now, I still dance on the edges, Mama says. I loved my 32 years. I have argued with God. How come I can't go get a Netflix special? Why am I going to get HBO? I want to be Ellen and have my own show. And I lament constantly. And at the same time, boy, God did me a favor.
How are you feeling having done this for more than 30 years?
I'm ready to do a new thing. I get weary of the buzz, but you also caught me 1 week when we shut the buzz down. Yes. Call me in September. I'll be telling my manager, you need to get me a show. I need to get out there. I am just bored stiff. And that happens all the time, too. And I crank up the buzz and go again,
I'll sort of end the way you end the book, if I can. You talk about musical caskets.
It is the truth. Ephraim, you know my...
Really?
Yes. And you know my life. You've been out there into my house. The funniest thing is, when we went to bury Papa, there was no room for him because Jesus needs to come. We're just running out of room in the cemeteries. And so I decided, because I had the means, I had buried my husband on the farm. So I dug them all up. My sisters, my parents, yes, and 4 bodies on a flatbed went through Ashland City, Tennessee. But it was so bizarre, and it was funny. Only God.
Yeah.
You could sit and laugh at 10 times. Now, believe me, I didn't laugh the day one of them died. But a few days after, you start remembering silly things and funny things.
Well, in light of the life that you've lived, if you could go back, we see a picture of you, little Shonda, in here. If you could go back and give that little Shonda some advice, what would you tell that little girl?
First, I would throw my arms around her and going, you're going to survive some stuff, girl. You're going to go through some grief, but you're going to have great love in your life. You are going to cry, but you're going to hear some laughs, that will just be crazy. I think the first thing I would tell her is latch on to God quick. because he is going to walk you through some places you will never believe.
And I looked in the mirror, and there it was. I am the miracle. I'm surprised I'm still here.
Such a great interview. Yeah. Such a good interview. Okay, so you got the chance to meet her and interview her.
I mentioned Ashley. I had the opportunity a few months back to interview her after reading her book, and the book is it's very funny, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But it's raw too. It is very raw about her childhood. So there's some tough moments in there, and then she will bring humor into it, as you're not surprised to hear. It was very funny toward the end of the book. She talks about being single and dating, and it was very funny. Her take on it. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, she's an older woman. She's an older woman who was back on the scene, and her descriptions of some of these men she was encountering was very humorous.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. No, I really do appreciate her humor, her transparency, just about life, like all the various things that she's walked through. And we need laughter. Like, God created us to laugh, and I do think God is a funny God. Not in like a mean way, but
I know.
in a good way.
We know you love God and respect Him. We do know that. No clarification necessary.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, well, we're going to leave you with these words from Psalm 96. Declare His glory among the nations, His marvelous deeds among all peoples. God bless you guys.